The sound of fabric tearing is something most people wouldn't think twice about. But for Emma Carter, it felt like a knife cutting straight into her heart. Not because of the dress itself, but because of what it meant. It was her mother's last gift. And now, in the middle of the crowded hallway of Ridgeway High, 3 girls were laughing as they ripped it apart. Scene 1, first steps into Ridgeway High. Emma stood outside the tall glass doors of the school, the August sun glinting off the polished handles. She could feel the weight of the day pressing on her shoulders. A new school meant new beginnings, but also new dangers. She took a deep breath, clutching her bag and the books she had brought from her old school. Her floral dress swayed with the morning breeze, a mix of soft pinks and creams, stitched together with care. She remembered the night her mother had given it to her, pale and weak in the hospital bed, but smiling. "So you'll always have a piece of me with you," her mother had said. And now, Emma carried it into Ridgeway High like a shield. The hallways were loud and chaotic. Lockers slammed, sneakers squeaked against the floor, and laughter bounced off the walls in sharp bursts. Every pair of eyes seemed to follow her, some curious, some judging, some indifferent. Scene 2, the queen bees appear. Emma hadn't gone 20 steps before she saw them. Jessica Turner and her entourage, Megan and Chloe, leaned against the lockers like they owned the place. Jessica had glossy hair that looked like it had its own personal stylist, and she clutched a designer handbag as if it were an award. She noticed Emma instantly. Her eyes flicked up and down, scanning every inch like she was assessing the value of a product. "Nice dress," Jessica said, stepping into Emma's path. Her lips curled into a smirk. "Is it vintage? Like, really vintage?" Megan giggled. Or maybe she raided her grandma's closet? Emma ignored them, but they followed, their perfume heavy in the air. Chloe leaned in, whispering loud enough for Emma to hear. "Guess thrift stores are the new trend." Emma kept her gaze forward, willing herself not to react. She had survived worse. She wasn't about to give them the satisfaction. Scene 3, the tear. But Jessica wasn't done. As Emma passed, there was a sudden, sharp pull at her side. Rear-yip. The sound froze Emma in her tracks. She looked down to see a jagged tear in the fabric, right across the seam. Jessica was holding the ripped piece like a hunter holding a trophy. "Oh no," Jessica said mockingly. "Guess delicate things don't last long around here." Megan burst into laughter, and Chloe covered her mouth, pretending to be shocked. The hallway erupted in whispers. Some students laughed. Others looked away, uncomfortable but unwilling to step in. Emma's throat tightened. For a moment, she thought she might cry. But then, something inside her clicked. Scene 4, the shift. Emma turned slowly, her eyes locking on Jessica's. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't push or shove. But her words cut sharper than any scream could. "You think that makes you powerful," she said, her tone steady. "Hurting people who can't fight back? That's not strength. That's fear in disguise." Jessica blinked, momentarily thrown off. "Fear? Of you? Please." Emma stepped closer, her voice low but carrying. "You're not the queen of this school. You're just a scared little girl who hides behind her friends because she's terrified of being alone." A few students gasped. Others nodded slightly, their eyes darting between Emma and Jessica. Jessica's jaw tightened. "You don't know anything about me." Emma held her gaze. "I know enough to see through you. You can rip my dress, but you'll never break me. I've fought bigger battles than you could ever imagine, and I'm still here." Scene 5, quiet victory. The tension hung in the air like static. No one moved. Finally, Jessica scoffed, tossing the ripped fabric to the floor. "Whatever. Not worth my time." She turned on her heel, her followers trailing behind, but their laughter wasn't as confident this time. Emma bent down, picked up the torn piece, and walked toward the nurse's office. She patched the tear with safety pins, smoothed the fabric, and went back to class. Every step she took was deliberate, her head high. Scene 6, finding allies. the days after weren't magically easier. Jessica still tried subtle jabs, but the sting was gone. The difference was that people started noticing, and some even stood beside Emma. Sarah, a girl with a quiet voice and a stutter, began sitting with her at lunch. Daniel, small and wiry but quick with jokes, joined them. Soon, their table became a small circle of safety in the noisy cafeteria. They shared stories of being pushed around, of feeling invisible. And together, they started to feel seen. Scene 7, the second confrontation. One afternoon, Jessica cornered Emma near the bike racks. "You think you're a hero now?" she snapped. "No," Emma replied calmly. "I'm just not afraid to stand up, and you should try it sometime. Standing for someone instead of against them feels a lot better." Jessica's mouth opened, then closed. She said nothing and walked away. Scene 8, change. By winter break, Jessica's hold over the school had weakened. People began calling out her behavior. She wasn't untouchable anymore. Emma had gone from the new girl to the girl who had stood her ground, and in doing so, she gave others the courage to do the same. On the last day before break, Sarah handed her a box. Inside was a sewing kit and a small square of floral fabric. "So you can fix your dress," Sarah said softly. Emma smiled, tears filling her eyes. "It's already fixed," she said, touching her heart. Final message. People may try to tear you down. They may destroy what's precious to you. But they can't touch your spirit unless you let them. And when you stand tall, you don't just protect yourself, you inspire others to rise too. Call to action. If this story touched your heart, share your own experience of standing up to a bully in the comments below. Hit like, subscribe, and join our community here on Be Kind Always. Because kindness isn't weakness, it's unstoppable strength.